we're going to switch to the discussion section of this broadcast. So if you're in IQ and you want to join in voice chat, join the IQ Live voice channel, and we're just going to discuss various and sundry. Is that the right? I think I'm just like throwing that together with my brain. We're just going to discuss random streaming stuff that can be helpful to everybody. And so the stream review section is over. Go check out Redbeard. And Redbeard, you're welcome to stay and hang out and talk with me about streaming.
Yeah, I got some time.
Obviously.
I like talking about streaming.
But
I appreciate the kind words.
Of course, dude. I want you to know that even though I did your graphics, some of your graphics. There was one more thing actually.
Okay.
Your icon, the face icon for that you're using as your profile icon on Twitch, it's too small. It needs to be zoomed in for Twitch. I wouldn't worry about the hat so much. And somehow like the quality on it just got jank. I don't know if it's too whatever.
I was thinking of just changing to like a face one, like Jared or like.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yeah.
Shroud or Trainwreck's house.
See how zoomed it is on Discord? It looks right on Discord. That's what you want to aim for on the Twitch one.
Yeah, okay.
So, like, you don't not incorporating the hat, basically. So.
Yeah.
And even the Skull and Crossbones one would be pretty decent. So, is anybody else going to join us here in voice chat for this section of the stream? You can join at any time. You can leave at any time. It's up to you guys. But I invite you guys to come talk with us about stuff. So I don't know why, but my mind immediately wants to jump back to the conversation we almost started about charity streams. I have a hot take on that. I'm not even sure I'm like ready to dive that deep. Hello, Kuma.
I have mixed feelings about charity streams a lot of the time.
Yeah, I am willing to share the charity stream thing. It's complicated, and so 100% I'm going to say something that somebody is going to take wrong.
Because you're saying charity is bad.
No, not at all.
That's going to be translated as you say anything is missing a charity event. You're like, you don't like charity being put to good use? You are a monster.
Yeah, exactly.
Cancel.
Oh boy. It's a hot take. It's a hot topic. I'm so apprehensive about doing this, but it needs to be done. You can immediately see my discomfort, right? Dang. Okay, so charity streams. I think giving to charity is a very personal thing. It's like so personal. It's almost like religion. I do believe it's a good thing to encourage, like the health stuff we were talking about earlier. I think it's a great idea to encourage people to make good decisions and to think about what they're doing and why they're doing it. But there's a lot of bad ways to kind of make the charity thing wrong, I guess. There's definitely wrong ways to do the charity thing. There's wrong ways to do anything. So where do we start with this? I guess the first thing I would say is it's not necessarily raising money for charity that I have a problem with.
I was going to say, everyone go to Twitter. Get ready.
I'm about to be canceled. I don't really have a problem with charities. I do have problems with charities that are taking all the money and putting it into the CEO's pocket, and none of the money actually gets used in the way that you want it to. There are bad charities. This is why it's so complicated. Because on the surface, it just feels like altruistic and nice and good to be like giving, charitable. And yeah, it is good and it is nice. But it's also very complicated. And it's like virtue signaling a little bit, or like, I don't know, like,
It's kind of like clout chasing.
yeah,
little
look
bit.
how, like, oh,
Yeah.
we raised all this money for charity. We raised $2,000 for this charity, and like, that's great, you know, that's cool and stuff. But you're using it to grow your stream. The way I think, I guess the best way for me to do this is to say I like charity streams where the streamer encourages giving and not
Yeah.
to a specific charity. Maybe if you're massive, if you're a really big streamer, it can be okay to like run a campaign with in an association, in a relationship with the charity, where the money is not filtered through the stream, but the charity is keeping track of the money and helping you tell everybody how much money you've all raised for the charity, like in a relationship with the charity. That's probably the only good way, if you know the charity's good and the money's not going to be wasted and all this stuff. That all aside, you want to use your authority and your influence to, I think the thing that's important is to encourage people to give if they can, and that there shouldn't be any level of like guilt or pressure on those that probably need charity themselves. You know, we're talking about Twitch. You're gonna have somebody in the chat who is, you know, living on government funding or disabled or in some kind of position where they need help. And now you're pressuring that person to give like their last couple dollars to you so that you can give it to a charity. And you know, you're not really in a position to work with the charity. You're just like, what is it at that point? You're just like, we're gonna raise. I want to raise money for this charity. I really believe in this charity. I mean, I feel like this is one of those areas where it's really easy for a very evil person to look like a good guy.
Yes.
And I think that's the thing, is that charity streams too often, which sometimes, you know, there may be intentions, but other times it may just be totally unintentional, is the charity event thing is trying to basically confirm to people on Twitch of, I'm a very good person. Like,
yeah,
look how good I am.
Yeah.
And just like, that kind of rubs the wrong way, and how it's really bad is when you do find out those people who do that and have, you know, been doing charity events for years, and then of course down the line is the whole, you know, YouTuber, streamer,
I see.
Exposed thing where it's like they were actually a complete creeper doing some weird, illegal stuff for like 5 years. It's like,
So, I agree with that, but I don't know if that matters. This is like, I was part of a charity event like a few months ago. I can't remember when now. But I did it in collaboration with a bunch of other streamers, and it was a really cool experience. But I also had those doubts going into it of like, should I do this? Like, I'm a super small streamer. Like, am I just doing this to grow? Is that like a bad thing that I'm doing going into this?
There is no like right or wrong answer. It is bad and it is good, because on some level, you're not in a position where you're this big person of influence. You're still trying to grow.
Personally, what I landed on was like, I don't think it's bad for me to, like, while helping a charity, also help myself. Like, it's not bad for every party to win in this situation. It's not like by me doing it, by me not doing it, I grow less and the charity makes less money. So why wouldn't I just do it?
Yeah, I think on some level, there's ways to justify it in your mind. And it could be justifiable. My concern is that it's hard to tell the difference between you, the well-intentioned streamer person, trying to just make good decisions, and the dude who wants to just promote that he's the good guy.
Yeah. I mean, well, at the end of the day, it's more a philosophical question, right?
so-
Because it's like,
Right. So this is why my answer is complicated, because I don't think it's the answer is don't do charity streams. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is be very, very careful and make sure you've got your message across. And I think the right message starts, it begins with, it's good to be giving, and I give, but I also feel like why you don't want to walk around bragging that you're like this great individual who gives to charity. I give.
Yeah.
I always feel really gross when some older person, older than me, and I'm old, so just brags about how much they give to charity and they're a really giving person, and it just feels like they're trying to justify how, even though they're not all bad, I'm not all bad. And it's like a weird defensive mechanism. I give to charity. I support charities, and it just feels it feels weird.
I think it's internet space of the fact of people are so used to of what do you call it? They're so used to this whole internet ego thing that you're always just kind of trying to make a cult of personality. So when you do a charity event, you're like, hey, look, I'm not only doing this for money for my own sake. I will move my wealth elsewhere to show that I'm not just on the internet to just amass relevancy and money or something.
Yeah.
that's a weird discussion in itself with streaming too.
I feel like I just think the message kind of gets lost. I also feel like it's a strange thing to do, to tell people what to do with their money. It's different to encourage people to do good things with money and to be like, hey, you should think about, if you have the means, go support a charity or something if you can. And I support this charity or I support that charity. That is different than saying I give $5,000 a month to the Red Cross.
Yeah, I like the ones I've seen
It's
people
like-
do it where they're just like, hey, I have a list of charities I've researched. Pick one of them if you want to.
Yeah, I like the idea of telling people that they should be, supporting things like this, and that you do it yourself, and that when you can and when you have the means to, and I don't like when the streamer becomes like this funnel for the charity. It's like, hey, give me money, and today all the money you give me, I'm gonna give to this charity. Now, aren't we all awesome? I don't know.
Yeah.
If you want to do that, it would be way more meaningful. Although no one would know that about it, but it would be way more meaningful if you just did that. Why do you have to tell everybody you're gonna give their money? Just take the tips you made for the week and give it to a charity because you want to.
And with Tiltify existing, why are you donating to the streamer directly anyways?
Exactly. There are good ways to do this. There are ways to encourage people to give to a charity that you believe in supporting, and running campaigns that allow the person to give directly to the charity. And that's what I mean. You have to create a relationship. But I also feel like if you're a 10 viewer streamer, it's too early. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's like,
They mean
Yeah,
well, but
definitely.
You're kind of jumping on a little too much, and you really could just put the money yourself to whatever charity you're pushing.
go support the
And
charity.
Yeah.
I see
Maybe
it.
at some time mention being like, oh yeah, by the way, I actually, I don't for some people who are not super pushed on streaming for money, they're like, I have my normal job, I'm fine, stable, and because I have extra money from you guys, I've put extra money that I put toward charity, as
Yeah.
a side note.
Yeah, that's great. I totally agree with that. That's fine. And I don't believe that people shouldn't give to charities, not even for a moment. I believe there's a bad way to do the charity streaming thing. And it can be utilized I've seen it utilized by streamers to make them look good. Meanwhile, they're in the background messaging underage girls or whatever in Discord and getting caught.
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, oh well, you know,
I mean that's like everywhere in life though that happens, right?
of course,
And and I still think that comes down to like I don't think that's like it's still doing good for the charity, so I don't feel like I feel like they're just bad people. And I
of
think like no
course.
matter what they're gonna
They're
be,
just
so like
doing
like
things.
at least they did some good to
Yeah.
try to hide it. I don't know.
Uh,
They're doing good to cover the skeletons in their closet, kind of thing. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day,
Yeah.
at least it may be performative, but at least at the end of the day, hopefully the money did in fact go to the charity.
Yeah,
and then
that's
that
true,
whole event
yeah.
goes
Yeah,
off, and
because
then
Yeah.
years later, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, this person was kind of gross.
yeah,
because I don't want people feeling icky like later being like, oh no, I donated to their charity. It's like, well, you still donated to the charity just because you
Yeah.
didn't know that guy was terrible. Like,
yeah, yeah. So, and on some level, I feel like the charity thing is like a really personal thing, where it's like, you know, it's like prayer. Like public prayer is not something I think is a good idea. Like, it's just like, you know, I don't want to get too much into the Bible or the biblical stuff or these things, but like the value that I've gotten out of that kind of thinking is like, you know, you're not supposed to go out and pray so that people see you as this praying person, you know, which is ironic because the majority of people are very public in their prayer, even though their book says not to do it. So funny. So I see the charity thing as like, it's keep it close to the chest. Give to charities because you want to. Start there. It starts with you. Encourage people to give money to charities because you believe that that's a good thing to do. And raise money with charities in an association and a relationship with them directly. It's a really, really bad idea to like collect other people's money and act as a middleman and say, I'm going to give your money to this charity on your behalf. And we're going to
yeah,
let
think that just
PayPal
has
collect the
scam.
money in between.
true that too. Yeah,
Like,
I was gonna say I think it just has scam written all over it too. Like anyone, like yeah,
it's too easy to become a scam. That's for sure.
well, Tiltify exists now. Like, and there's like
It's
probably
true.
other websites that do it. So like, there's no reason to ever be the middleman. If you're
Yeah.
done, like, if a streamer's doing like a charity thing and asking for directions directly, they're doing like, they're either very set in their ways or they're scamming you.
Right, right. And telling people where to put their money is kind of, especially with charities, it's too personal. It's like telling people which God to pray to. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's on you. You know, I support this charity, and you know, if you're looking for good charities, I've done some research on them, and
Yeah, especially when it comes to like charity topics, that a lot of times, people choose ones that are much more, personally affects them, with like a suicide prevention or like cancer research or something. But they kind of lean into that, so that's kind of the whole thing of like, please, this is something that affected me. I mean, I'm not saying anything bad about that, but the whole thing of just, yes, please put your money toward this way. This thing
yeah.
is really relevant. Like, see it how I see it. This is really, really important.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea
like-
to tell people like what you believe in, and encourage. It's the difference between encouraging people to make good decisions and to think about things, and like kind of doing it for them, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Unless it's like NFTs and then like get people to buy them. That's a gold mine waiting to happen, right?
Yeah.
Why
Okay.
is every
So-
NFT artwork so bad looking?
Was my hot take on charity not a hot take? Did I ever react?
I don't think so. I think it was more like just a presentation thing. I think you're like in line with how most people think about it.
Hopefully. I just want people to be cautious and careful about their decisions in this category. Yeah, it wasn't particularly hot. Well, a lot of
Yeah.
people have done charity streams and they didn't think it through very well, and they didn't really. They did it probably hoping it would have some sort of positive impact on their stream, and it didn't. And so then it becomes really weird and toxic to your own thinking, because you're like, man, I tried to raise this money for this charity and nobody really showed up and nobody really cared. Now you're frustrated that people aren't giving money to your charity of choice, and
I
This
had
is
a
not-
very
Charity
had a
streams
very
kinda
different
jump on
experience
that.
with it.
Like, charity streams is kind of on that list of like stream stuff people do, where they like people, again, mean well, but they basically kind of jump on that and being like, the list like a checkbox thing of like, what things that I can do that are like good, can
Yeah.
push on my stream, grow, whatever. And they're just like, they on the list are just like charity stream. Once I get to this point, I can do that. That's the right thing to do, right? And then no one, because they don't know who they're talking to, they're just like, no one really answers them. They're like, okay, I guess I'll do it. And they go about doing it, and then, the results are whatever they are, and they're just like, did I do it?
I think if you're just doing it solo too, that's a big different thing. Like for me, I got to be like a part of a group when I did it.
Yeah.
And it was a very part
Yeah,
of a group with
that's
someone.
that's a bit
much
better
more-
to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like a
Yeah.
whole event that it was like me and like 20 other streamers. Like it was a lot of people doing it all together at the same time.
Yeah, I also feel like this is the last little piece I would attach to this whole conversation. There's like this, people will give money, they'll raise money for charity or something, like a small streamer, they'll raise a few $100s, and then everybody will feel really good about themselves for a little while, and then they never do it again. And it's just like, it's like an event, like in a moment, and then it's cashed in on in the moment, and it doesn't really create any kind of positive change in your viewers to be altruistic and giving beyond that moment because they did it. I know people do this with this. It's kind of like human nature. They'll go on a diet, and they'll skip all the junk food for like the day, and then the next day they eat a junk food thing because they deserve a break or a treat from the diet. And you're like, and then you go back to not being on the diet almost immediately, right?
Yeah.
Like it makes you feel good in the moment, and so it doesn't have any real impact or change on the viewer to think about supporting charities and people, which I think is the more important thing to do, is to get people to consider themselves as supportive of cancer research or whatever it is, whatever the charity is, to think about these things in their own personal life. That's like the bigger impact that the streamer should be trying to have, and not just like the momentary, we raised X amount of dollars. Because the charities benefit when people make those changes and they're more permanent, and people aren't just hoarding money in their bank account and they're being charitable. And too often it's like just about the moment. And so that's where I get bothered by it, because it's like, you do it for the moment, and then you feel like good for a little while, and then you just go back to being not a charitable person. So, and there's lots of ways to be charitable in society beyond giving to charities. We should be charitable in our relationships with each other. A lot of people will try. I'm in the artist community. I've got a lot of people who are, they're real not charitable with the whole, relationships to other people. It's just as scammy when it comes to working with people or overcharging for a service or a product or something.
Yeah. I think that's natural in more artistic communities.
Ugh, drives me crazy.
I think it's because they don't make as much, like they struggle more a lot of the time, so it's almost like necessity.
Yeah, I got to charge you $300 to do this thing that's like a $50 maybe.
Yeah, but you don't but being like a starving artist, like at the same time you're like, well, I need to eat, so like I do need to overcharge you.
And I know all about it, but there's a certain amount of hustle that just doesn't go down. We can kind of shift topics now. Is everybody getting messages on Discord about from artists trying to solicit you to give them, work with them, get graphics or whatever?
No, I've gotten the Twitter ones. Every time I get one in Discord, I actually left a streamer's Discord because of this. And I was in the Discord and I got a message from an artist in that community being like, hey, I noticed you're a streamer. Hey, do you need any work done? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like just slip into my DMs. And I'm like, what? No. And I'm like, don't do this. Like, don't do this way.
It's the worst when I get them because I am an artist, and I'm like, you didn't even look at my Twitter profile. Like, why?
So I messaged the streamer and I'm like, you know what? Just to let you know, this person is doing this, going through like your list in your Discord and DMing people, like soliciting services. And he was like, oh yeah, I said they could do that. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm out. Sorry, I keep swearing.
No, it's okay. It's all right.
But yeah, I was flabbergasted. I'm like, all right, I'm gone. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I swear for me, because of how I basically, very much talk about how I embrace my like scuffness, and I've sort of just Frankensteined everything together to the point where it's like, this is kind of my look now. So I think every now and then I get these art people who see that and are like, ooh, I got somebody that can, he may need some graphics. And I'm like, mine is amazing.
Okay, let's, Doc brought this up because Doc.
Doc's outing Sonny.
Doc's trying to call me out here. So let me ask you a question, Doc. Why don't you get in voice and we can talk about this for real? Did I actually solicit you directly without any prior communication? You're kidding. Okay, you needed a kappa in that. Okay, so I'm pretty sure you messaged me about something first.
That's so funny.
I don't really reach out to people. If they open the door, I wait for people to use my website to contact me on my website. I don't get that much commission work, but I also don't. Most of my clients are word of mouth. Actually, they'll be like, "I heard you work with Jared." That's where it started. Jared was my first client.
Yeah, that's how I kind of. I don't think it was Jared that I found you through, actually. I think it was Septequis.
Oh, really? I didn't do anything for him.
Yeah.
But, well, I guess
No,
IQ.
but I got. Yeah, no, that's what happened is because I found, do you know For the Biscuit? It was him.
That sounds familiar, but I don't think I've...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He knows Septequis. He raided Septequis one time, and then I hung around Septequis' stream a bunch. We started talking about stream stuff in one of his streams, and he told me to DM him after, and then we ended up talking for like an hour about stream stuff, and then he's like, you should join Infinite Quality, and then I did, and that's how I ended up here.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are they'll promote the heck out of IQ, which is very nice, and because we don't do any promotion for the community. There's no advertising. I just put a hell of a lot of work into the website, the member site, and the public site, and the Discord. And we don't really... the IQ itself, it's kind of there to help connect streamers with streamers and with artists to a degree. It's really just about... I mean, honestly, where IQ started... Do you guys know any of this?
No.
Okay, well, let me spill the beans. You did?
I asked you about it once. Yeah, you told me about it once.
Okay, well, I'll tell everybody else. I was working with streamers in the background before IQ. And not really doing art as much as like telling people how to set their camera up and how to fix OBS. And oh man, there was this common theme where I would just help somebody, their stream would take off, and then they'd ghost me. I'd never hear from them again. And even the people that I was like, the smaller streamers that were like small and then grew a little bit, got to 10 to 15 viewers, they would ghost me as well. And I just kind of got tired of that whole thing. I was like, there's got to be a better way, like, I didn't have stickiness. And I'm like, these people still needed help. They would just like bounce around and get help from other people in other places. And a lot of times it was really bad changes. They would go from like doing things well to doing things really poorly. and like going from OBS Studio to Streamlabs OBS. Like, I'm just like, why are you making this change? Who told you to do this? So I figured there's got to be a better way to kind of like solidify the group, and to like get people to stick around and have some solidarity with trying to figure out more problems, because Twitch isn't a solved issue. It's
it's still very new.
It's a discussion. It has to be. I don't have all the answers. I can tell you how to make your lights better, or your camera better, or your microphone better. But that doesn't mean I can tell you, this is what you should do to make your stream massive. That's a lot of that's on you. You have to figure that out. But it's not going to help if your lights are bad and your camera's bad and your mic is bad.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of nuance to streaming, and it needs to be a discussion. And we all need to be part of that discussion. So IQ was kind of a few things. It was like a way for me to like find people who are interested in figuring out improving streaming, and then also having a relationship where we all are figuring it out together. And then also it was a place for streamers. Streamers naturally need like artists. There's no Discord. There's no open Discord. Sorry. If you're interested in joining the IQ community, you have to go to infinitequality.live and you can apply, and go through that whole process there. And then the Discord is for members only. So, yeah, there is a link down below. So the point of IQ was to give us a place to figure this stuff out together, give us a little bit more stickiness so that we can stick around and help each other long term. And then naturally just evolve from there. It's like, well, this is obviously a good place to do networking. But I think a lot of people think the networking side of things are gonna, and I think a lot of people join IQ with the expectation that it's gonna happen for you. Thanks, Bad Gamer. OnlyFans. So, and it's totally fine if you join IQ and you lurk. That is completely, totally good. If you're getting any value out of it at all, from lurking, it's fine. You don't have to be a participant of the discussions or come on to this Friday shows or podcasts and stuff like that we're doing in order to take advantage of the community. Not at all. It's actually there for when you need it. Like if you suddenly find yourself in a position where your OBS isn't working, it's kind of there for that moment. You could go in and be like, oh, this broke. How do I fix it? And then hopefully people will come together and tell you how to fix it. So
yeah. I find the IQ Discord really cool in that how it seems dead a lot of the time. And then someone will say something and suddenly like 20 people will come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, people are paying attention to it. Yeah. And the notifications are not on. It's just now since I started these new streaming things that we've got pings going out for everyone, and that's just for these events. So that when somebody talks to you in IQ, it's because they looked at the server. And I think most people that are engaging with it have it completely cleared. Everything is up to date, and they get that little white dot next to the server in the Discord list. And they go, oh, somebody said something, and they click on it. And that's what we want. We don't want to force interaction. We want the people who are ready to kind of be involved and be... Yeah, you get excited when you see... Me too. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to help everybody and talk about stuff all the time.
Yeah, I'm definitely very verbose when it comes to streaming, and I don't know everything. I just like talking about it, and even more being challenged on it, because that helps me figure out better my thoughts on it.
And the right question is better than the right answer a lot of times.
Yeah.
People are, if you're afraid to kind of speak up and talk about something because you think it's dumb, don't do that. It's better to ask a question because the right question can spark the conversation that leads to some really great answers. And so the right questions are important. And the right question is the one you have. Because if you don't know it, somebody else doesn't know it either. So, and then beyond that, the website is kind of like the hopeful place of what IQ aspires to be. The member site has the posts so that once we figure things out in the Discord together, we can kind of like journal it and post it on the IQ site so that people can go to the search bar and say like C920 settings and then get an article on that from the website, because it's kind of hard to parse through Discord over time, and the search function in Discord is only so good. So, and then the graphics, the free graphics and stuff. So I believe that in order to, as an artist, there's the paid stuff, like the client relationships where people pay you to make personalized branded stuff. But I believe the best way to create those relationships is to start with like free stuff. And I think that's the artist section of IQ, is where we have the artists come together, which is going to happen this Sunday, by the way. Will be the first art stream. So if you're around, you can help the artists figure out what kind of stuff you want on the website. And then you guys can have just stuff, graphics and animations and stuff to help kind of improve your stream. And hopefully that stuff helps inspire you to play with OBS and to make your stream better. And then if you want something that's like even a better improved graphic from beyond the free stuff on the site, then you can contact the artist who made it and be like, I like this, can you make me this, but I want it this way, and then commission an artist to do it. That's kind of the best way to go about it. I think for an artist should show that they have value before they offer it. Does that make sense? I'd rather you see my work and see that I offer what I can do, and then ask me to do something for you, then go and be like, hey, do you need a banner? I can make banners. So that's kind of a tangent, but that's also kind of important, I think, that people understand. IQ was started to kind of help facilitate better relationships from streamer to streamer, artist to streamer, and all the stuff that surrounds that, and hopefully stuff in the future that we haven't thought of. My dream for this community is that we get to the point where the general support for it, the community is massive enough, and the general support for the community allows us to have employees and maybe even a facility, and where we can do events like LAN parties, events like I would love to have a recording studio and a stage for performances and live broadcast things, like all kinds of things. Just really move into the live streaming space as much as possible. So, but I'm very happy with where IQ is right now. I was sick for the past almost 2 years. At the end of this month, it'll be 2 years. And I could do almost nothing, just barely kind of interact and make sure the Discord was happy and maintain the websites, and that was it. And we've grown to like 180 plus members. Maybe it's roughly around that right now. So without any advertising, with just word of mouth. So I really appreciate you guys, actually. You guys, IQ would be nothing if it wasn't for all of us. There's no IQ with just me. There's IQ is all these people in this Discord, and everything that happens. So it wouldn't happen without all of us. We're all very responsible for this. So, my dream and hope is to make it into something even more valuable for all of us. So, how does that sound?
Good.
Can't ask for a better response than that.
Yeah, it sounds similar to my end goal eventually.
Yeah,
With,
streaming neighborhood. You want a streaming neighborhood? People, there's a whole neighborhood of people. Just
Well, no,
every
no,
house is a streamer.
Not streaming, but like content creation overall. Like I'd love to get like not even just streaming, because I've stopped thinking about it as Twitch is like the be all end all, because I think Twitch will eventually die. And I'm thinking about
They all die at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
They all
But
die at
content
some
creation
point.
just as a whole, and then like being able to form a company of people to just create stuff.
It's actually
just, like-
shocking Facebook's still around.
It is shocking.
It is.
I'm shocked. Facebook will die when the boomers die. That's just they're connected to it now. It's hooked into their veins.
Is that what you guys think? Does everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
The boomers are keeping it alive?
It's like the demographic for Facebook is like, if you want to advertise a product that's aimed at boomers, you go to Facebook.
Millennials, man. They're starting to become boomers.
Oh no, there's a lot of millennials on Facebook too, but millennials are more attached to Instagram, which is why Facebook bought Instagram.
Yeah, that's a good point. I am very attached to Instagram, and I am the beginning of the millennial generation. I'm the old millennials.
I actually never got into Insta.
I hate Instagram as well, but I love Instagram for totally personal reasons. Their algorithm works perfectly for me. So it will show you in the Discover tab. It will show you only the things you're actually interested in. It actually works really well for that. It's great. It's great for me. So I hate
TikTok's
Facebook.
TikTok's algorithm is scary.
I don't like how addictive TikTok is.
No, I don't. Yeah, you got to be careful with it for sure.
When the first time I opened TikTok, like the whole day was gone. And I was dying of laughter. And then I don't know, a couple weeks went by, and I was like, I like Instagram's version of TikTok as well, because the algorithm works perfectly for me.
Yeah.
I don't see shit I don't want to see in my Instagram stories or whatever that. I don't know.
I think that's because you've been on Instagram for a while. TikTok does do that eventually, but it just needs to like learn who you are, and then it's like weirdly specific. It's weirdly specific.
I don't know. I do like that TikTok is more discoverable, because you post on TikTok, people are gonna see that, so you better make sure it's good.
Yeah, that's the thing. I need to focus on making the content higher quality on my other things. My Twitch content's actually the best out of everything I put out, for sure.
Yeah.
So I need to...
It's also probably the easiest one to create.
Yes.
If you're good at creation, Twitch is the easiest thing. I should say it that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you just turn it on and it happens. Whatever's happening is happening. I didn't have to script this. There's no editing. It just goes.
Doc, that's because you keep liking the Thirst Traps and OnlyFans posts. That's why they keep showing it to
you. Yeah. Twitch. That was actually, Instagram was like that at first too for me. I was like, this is all just like, whatever content that I'm not interested in. I can go to other sites for that kind of thing. And until it actually got there, I put a couple of searches in for like, actors or rappers or musicians or whatever that I follow and that I'm interested in, and also following like their like, I don't know what it's called, like the hashtag. It's not a hashtag, is it? I guess it is a hashtag. The topics, yeah. Following that really populated the feed to be like what I'm actually interested in. So like now it's just all K-pop stuff. So, and Korean TV shows and all that stuff. Cause that's the stuff I'm watching. And, it was like, went from not relevant to totally relevant. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. So yeah, TikTok is a good place to leverage for your content. I'm leveraging it for IQ whenever we post these chatting streams. I try to pull a clip out and throw it on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram. So you want to leverage the platforms for sure, and especially you want to try and do it in a way that like is smart. It's not a good idea to just like grab your phone, click record, and hope you made something good.
I don't think that's a bad place to start.
Yes, it's not a bad place to start, but the problem, I think the problem is it is a bad place to start, and here's why. There are algorithms that when you're new, you get more exposure. If people are not liking your early posts, your later posts are going to get less exposure.
Yeah, no, true. Okay, so this reminds me of the fallacy in League of Legends about people thinking that their accounts are now stuck, when in actuality you just have to get good. And I don't think most people, I think you're right for people who are already really, really good at the thing. Like if Markiplier goes to TikTok, he's not going to make his first few TikToks like garbage.
Right.
Because he already knows how to make good content. He's going to make some banger TikToks right away, and he's going to blow up immediately because he's Markiplier. He's been doing it for like 15 years. For some of us who are just like learning how to do it, you really have to grind and make good content. And then if you get to a point where you're like, hey, I'm making banger content, maybe make a new account.
That's what I was going to say. Exactly. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, but I think for most people, the best advice is like just start recording, start putting out videos, figure out what works, figures out what doesn't.
Yeah. So what about, has anybody in chat had a good success, or what about you, Kuma? Have you had any good success on these other platforms?
Well, that's the thing is that we're saying about just doing content, whatever, is that I basically took something from a streamer I do watch, and just because that one of the only social media things I like still have and I like actively use is my Twitter account. So I've been basically making my going live videos the most arbitrary things possible. Where I don't have like a link, it's just kind of a random statement, and just based on whatever I think of that night, I just throw out there. And I don't know how successful it actually is getting me, but I just enjoy doing them, and I feel it's a little more interesting than how everyone does the same standard going live.
Yeah,
and it's
I'm
like
live,
a picture of them pointing at their PC setup or something.
Going live tweets don't work for anybody except for like groups, like maybe, and it's not even really that working for IQ. Twitter's not like a big source of exposure for these streams. I would say if you want Twitter to work for you, Twitter's a great place to state a thought.
Yes.
And it has to be like, obviously it has to fit in the character limitation, and you have to try to get just enough context in there so that it like cuts properly, but also doesn't end up with a bunch of like rebuttal responses. But even that can be good. It's a good place to kind of kick off an idea or a discussion, or get exposure for companies, bigger companies, on something that's coming out, like products and stuff like that. But like my most successful interactions on Twitter are usually advice style tweets. Stop doing this, start doing that kind of thing. Things that kind of hit home with other creators so that they're like, this is good advice, that kind of thing. It's the going live tweets that people just kind of scroll past, unless I know you and I was like waiting for you to go live, and the tweet is, so it does work on like that level, right? It works when you're like trying to get your friends or the people that already know you to come and like hang out on your stream, because it's a reminder for them. But as far as outreach goes, it's not.
Yeah. I mean, I basically just kind of decided to do this more as my own extension of just shit posting.
Right.
Yeah. And that's good, like, actually. Like, to
and that's
be,
a lot more
like...
on brand of just seeing these, like, seeing this streamers like, what's his Twitter like, and then seeing like the last 4 or 5 things I've been posting are like just random videos that apparently are going live tweets. Because like the last one I just did was I just filmed my bathroom in the dark, slammed a one of those nightlight things into a plug, and just said streaming. That's it.
I think that's funny though. Like that's like I think that's unique, and I think that's the thing is that people don't. I'm bad for this too. I do go live tweets where I just take a selfie. But I think the unique ones, like I saw one guy, he's in IQ, 8 Anomic. He did a going live tweet where he created a thumbnail for his going live tweet. And that was like, it's separated it from all the others. So I think that one actually like kind of worked. But I think Twitter's mostly just for networking for streamers more than anything. Yeah. It's not really for exposure.
I see Twitter's like an extension of being able
to
like
him. Holy crap.
You guys can all join the voice chat, by the way, if you guys want to. Join the IQ Live channel if you're able to. So yeah, Twitter is it's a mixed bag of things. It is a good place to stay in touch and kind of be in the know with each other. I see it as like a public interaction with your friends on some level.
Yeah, exactly.
And marketing. There's like this like weird, somewhat marketing, like, I'm trying. I don't know how else to describe it, but you are doing something to put yourself out there. But it's also a good place to just kind of like ping your friends and be like, yo, what's going on? Oh, this was so funny. And I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like I'm using like the networking word, which is a bad word, but like, it's not a bad word. It's just people think of networking. People think of networking as like a thing of like, it's a very clinical thing when it's not. It's just meeting people, engaging with people, making friends. And like, that's what Twitter is great for. Like you said, just like pinging your friends, doing like dumb, like shit posting, like Kuma said.
This is a good place for us to segue into talking about networking. So social media platforms inherently make you feel like you're supposed to do a certain way. You see how a bunch of people are doing things, and then I think a lot of people think networking is like something it's not because of this. Especially Twitch streamers, like they overcomplicate networking to the nth degree. It's kind of annoying actually, where you end up with people thinking networking is this highly formal. It's kind of like the artist thing, going back to that, where they message you to try and get them to work with you. It's like that's not the right way to get clients. You don't want to just like spam everybody. Hey, do you need Twitch graphics? I make Twitch graphics. I guess the easiest way to describe what good networking is it's relationships, it's friendships, it's connecting over the right things, and then it's the next. That's the beginning. The thing that makes networking valuable and work is the next thing that happens because of that relationship, which is like doing a podcast together, or co-streaming, or making a YouTube video, whatever it is. Like as a creator, proper networking is the execution of these things. It's not the messaging that happens in the background. It's not the relationship is what opens up the doors for you guys to work together. It's not not networking unless you do stuff.
Or like a game show maybe.
Yeah.
Guys, message me.
Yeah,
I need people.
If anybody wants to be on a game show.
Yeah, that's a weird thing when it comes to like streamers trying to like do this so-called network, is they for some reason think that if they're just like in the know each other and rate each other, they're now buddies, and it's like, yeah, network. And it's like, are you really networking though? Because like, you don't really want like to actually engage and hang out with people. Like, I know it's a much more informal way, but the way I've ended up, being networked on so many of their streams, just because of knowing other people that have the same vibe as I do, where I'm like, yeah, sure, come on, just jump on Discord. We'll talk about freaking ghosts, like what I did with Vaughn.
Yeah, make stuff together. Yeah, be on stream together. Be creators together. Be creative together.
It's tricky to do that, right? Like when someone when you're playing multiplayer games, it's so tricky to be like have someone, because I know like people I will play games on stream with, but it's not everyone. So it's tricky to have people in chat be like, "Hey, you, I know I like playing games with you. Come in." And then other people are like, "Can I come?" It's like,
Oh
no,
yeah,
sorry.
it is. That is tricky. So this is where it is a little bit more formal. The informal networking is the bad idea, because you open the floodgates to everyone in chat feeling like there's no difference between the person you're networking with and them, and they should be able to come join you as well. So that's where you do want to make sure it begins with a relationship, like in the background, message each other.
You have to figure out like lines of like these are people like we're cool with. We do co-stream whatever. Like you guys are the guys that I'll stream with, not just whoever the heck. Just like, can I join? And it's like, I have people with this game.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm not big. I don't know how I feel about this. Is maybe a separate topic, but the playing games with other streamers on your stream thing gets real messy, and not even streamers, viewers. It gets real messy real quick.
Yes.
Every time I've had TOS violations, it's been because I let somebody come and play a game with me on stream.
Yes.
Even other streamers, you don't expect them to like break the rules, and then there they go doing it. It's I should acknowledge Feckless.
See, Kuma is actually an excellent example case of the fruits and the correct way to network with people. You couldn't have possibly stumbled on a better topic for this particular individual that's in the chat right now, because Kuma is like the go-to example for what can happen if you network properly. I would say, and I've not done a ton of research on this, but just from my experience interacting with Kuma and watching his stream and how it's changed, he is almost entirely the product of networking. So if not to like gas Kuma up too much, or anything, but I'm not even sure I'm not even sure he entirely realizes this, or he's even really thought about it. But it's true. And the thing is, people want networking without the work.
Yeah.
So they want netting. Like they just want to get the results of networking without putting in the time to actually build a network. So what Kuma has done, so the good thing about Kuma and what makes him successful as a networker is that he has no problem inserting himself into any situation. Basically, he is professionally shameless. And he'll just pop up and be like, "Hey,
I'm not the bad promo thing. I'm the guy who, if I see a door open, I'll just kind of stick my head and be like, sup?
Oh yeah.
You're the gremlin in the trash that pops his head out to say, "Hey, you want some memes?" Like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. So, yeah, but no, it's actually it's quite interesting, because I mean, Kuma's just like he started as the guy behind the scenes that streamed, but his stream was completely disconnected from like everything he was doing behind the scenes. And once he stopped making a differentiation between like what his stream was going to be. Also, well, first of all, I would say the first thing he did that gave him success was to stop worrying about what his stream was going to be, and to just stream.
Yep.
Stop overthinking everything. And I think a lot of streamers make this mistake of overthinking everything and putting just too much time and energy into like, who am I? What am I going to be?
Yeah.
What's my niche? It's like,
Yeah.
dude, your niche will present itself.
Yeah.
After a certain amount of time, and it's different for everybody. Some people figure it out really fast. Some people it takes forever. But if you keep working towards something that you want to bear fruit, eventually it's going to actually happen. So what Kuma did was, he took his strong suits and he emphasized them, which is something that a lot of people do. And I mean, I'll say not to take credit, but I'll say I feel like I pushed him in this direction. And sometimes that's all it takes is just for somebody to push them in the right direction. And that's how IQ as a free resource can be a valuable benefit to people to help push them in those directions. But you have to be out there and talking to people and networking with people to get to the point.
Get involved.
Yeah, you have to get to the point where it can work.
I think a lot of people think IQ is going to be like it's going to solve problems for them, and that's not what happens.
Yes, and all those people are not in IQ anymore.
Yeah, they quit eventually, and it makes me sad because like they didn't do anything to try and take advantage of the situation. Really, it's a community like IQ has value, but you have to take advantage of it. You have to go meet people and talk with people and interact with people, and it's your responsibility. And then you have to go to your stream and look at it, critique it, or come to me and say, "Hey, will you do a stream review on Friday for me?" And like you have to take some action. You have to take some responsibility. Your stream isn't going to improve itself. And just joining a community like ours is not going to do anything. You're the one that has to do something about it. So in the end of the day, joining IQ doesn't do anything for you. You still have to utilize and take advantage of these opportunities. It's just like if you got raided by a big streamer and then they messaged you and you started chatting, you're the one that has to have to develop that relationship in the background. They never raid you again because you stop talking to them. You ghost them. It's like, I think a lot of people too, they'll join IQ, they'll realize they haven't done anything, and then they'll feel bad that they didn't say anything. And they'll feel bad they didn't participate or make any changes or do anything. And then
That's good.
They'll just kind of like, instead of going, I should start working on my stream, I should start improving, they just quit because they don't.
The feeling bad. The feeling bad is the prompt for change. Feeling bad, like those negative emotions exist for a reason.
Yeah.
They push you towards self-improvement or group improvement in this case.
Yeah, I just watched a conversation happen in another community about this today, where there was some streamer that was they were just getting down on themselves just for like not having an active chat, not having people come in and watching their streams, and so like everyone.
You read the message I sent you, Doc.
Oh, sorry.
And so like everyone hopped in, like giving advice and being like, hey, like if like it's either so like when you start feeling that way about streaming, you have two options. You either change things to get people there, or you stop. And like that's really what it is. Because if you just keep doing it, it's not ever going to get better if you don't change something.
Yeah. So Kuma was a good example. Feckless was saying that you went out there and you started interacting with people and stuff.
Yeah,
is that your story?
It's just that for some people, I'm this weird enigma of basically, kind of joke of me being seemingly everywhere, because I just know people and I'm a lot more open about talking to people and also very openly stating, like, the other mutual streamer people that we all know anyways. And, like, I think some people that are, like, for whatever reason, either not in the know or don't have a real huge Twitch, like, attachment are like, what is going on? But then people are much more, whatever about things, are like talking about here and there and all that, and just I kind of float around so many places that I'm just like the guy who just kind of comes in, just unapologetically is what I do, and then I'm just like, and then I kind of leave at some point, kind of randomly. Then most likely when somebody raids, friends and all that, they eventually they'll find me somewhere. I'm like, oh hey, I forgot, what were we playing again?
Hey, I know that guy. Yeah, it's so I have to prepare the statement. I have to, what's the word? I have to couch this in sort of a disclaimer. I mean this in the most positive way possible, because it's very easy to take this the wrong way. Kuma is like 20 people's sidekick. So
that's a good thing.
Well, the thing about sidekicks is they're often ignored. However, a certain percent of the of the viewership or population of any fan of any one thing is gonna like the sidekick, right?
Yeah.
And if you're 20 people sidekicks, you get a certain percentage of each of those 20 people's attention, and eventually that will build into a considerable number of people over time.
like-
And so Kuma's stream has become and also due to the fact that he streams mostly at night, Kuma's stream has become something of a destination for people, maybe people that stream prime time and are ending their stream. Kuma's is a great place to drop off. I take advantage of this myself when in the rare occasion that I actually stream. But that's why I made the joke. I made the joke in my chat on Discord. I said, "Okay, I'm taking a hiatus from streaming. Here you go, Kuma. Take all my viewers." Because it was just like, well, he used to not really stream when I was streaming, because like we have the same audience basically, and it was
just
like we
hang
don't
out
want to
when you're doing
compete.
stuff.
Yeah, it's the same reason I don't stream when Jared's streaming or anything or a lot of other people. But you gotta stream sometime, right?
Yeah.
If you're gonna stream at all, you gotta pick sometime. But so I'm just like, I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I'm not gonna stream on Tuesday. I'm not gonna compete with Jared's community review. Screw that. Like, why would I do that, right? It's like cutting off my own foot. But so Kuma would like sort of avoid like streaming on my like special days or whatever, like Monday and Friday, because podcast Friday and then Monday we do our thing. But with me not streaming, we're just like, hey Kuma, hey take the viewers, take them all, build your stream, and he's seeing success. So and he's having a good time.
Also just there's too much overlap that like the same energy and also late night time works the same. So that's why we have like seemingly the same viewers of like. If anyone if you watch Jared and you have any context to affect this, you also know me. So it's like
Yeah, like I definitely recognize your name, but I've never met you before
the
this.
shit poster manager or the actual shit poster king.
Yeah, exactly.
And but like also on the sidekick thing that I kind of take as a compliment is the fact that the other side of it and just kind of my own interest and all that is I don't mind kind of being that role of just gassing up other people. That's kind of why like one of those things that starts to get kind of weird sometimes is how
hype man.
I try to like help or maybe guide people. So for other people I'm like not in a huge push or like trying to be a freaking charity guy, but I'm just like these are people that are pretty good and cool on streaming.
Yeah.
I know that they will basically be as humble and try to be as non-promoting as possible. So I'm like, I got you. I'm gonna be a wingman.
Yeah, you're the Flavor
can't
Flav
hate
of
me.
IQ.
I'm some other guy. Like, he's not promoting. I'm the guy over here being like, hey everybody.
No, it's great because you
You
get
need
all
to accessorize.
you get all the benefits of group association and none of the responsibility. It's perfect. Like if something if someone doesn't like it, you don't have to. It's not my stream.
You can blame me.
Actually,
And it's like I'm the one who I'll take the blow. If it's like, man, this random guy, some people are like, trying to push this guy to being like a raid target or something. Who the hell gave that idea? I was like, some guy named Kuma. This guy, and I'm like, bring it on.
He's also like the Twitch hipster because he's existed in all these communities since before the dawn of time. So it's like you run into some other like some streamer finds a streamer and they're like, wait, you know Kuma? Wait, it's a Spider-Man pointing to himself meme, right?
Yeah.
Like,
also, the one thing to kind of show that I don't know how I do it, but also maybe because I've just been around long enough, like my one big like reputation is I don't know how much you guys know about excessive profanity and how he has an entire thing about like if you kind of say the wrong thing, he executes people on stream, as in the chat can basically vote and be an angry mob to ban you.
Yeah.
I have just hung around enough, and I don't know, I've just said the right things, and he kind of sort of, remembers my name, that I have dodged getting, like, executed multiple times. And I'm just like, I don't know, I think I'm just on the same wavelength, and he just remembers my name, has been there long enough that he's like, I know he doesn't mean anything. And, like, that's something, because a lot of people are like, they have this idea that he is a, like, horrible just person who just bans everybody and like cult personality, but I'm like I think I have the same energy, so I'm just like it's not that bad. But also I'm just kind of lucky that I don't get banned for saying dumb crap, but I don't know if it's actually just because I've been around long enough or whatever.
It's kind of funny because you're touching on a bunch of points about networking that I've like really like I've only recently learned how it's supposed to work or how to do it well. And the big quote that like really stuck with me is like networking is not about what you can get from other people, but it's about what you can do for other people, which you seem to like just naturally do by gassing people up.
It's definitely both, but yeah. I mean,
I
let's
like
not be dishonest,
people who
right?
make good
It's
stuff.
both.
And I
Well, no,
want
it's
them
definitely
to
both. But like, if
exist.
you're approaching someone going, "What can I get out of them?" You're already like you've already shot yourself in the foot, is what I'm saying. Because you're going into it with the wrong
Right.
energy, and they're gonna sense that energy coming at them.
Right. It's don't say the quiet part out loud, right? It's transactional. It's absolutely
Yeah.
transactional, right? But you don't want to go in. You don't want to look like you know it's transactional. You got to pretend like you know it's not. It's almost like
Well,
a game.
it starts with the reality is, are you gonna want to network and work with somebody who you wouldn't naturally get along with anyway? So the first
Yeah,
thing is to
exactly.
figure out if you have that good energy. If you bypass that and jump straight to the networking step before you form a relationship, then it does become kind of like this toxic thing. Like you know it happens because people will come in, and it's the same people who will be like, "Hey, you don't know them," and they're like, "Oh, they've never said anything in the chat before. They're maybe not even following your stream, and they say something in the chat, and then they say, "I'm gonna go stream now," and you're like, they're just advertising. They're just advertising their stream. All of a
Like,
sudden,
forget the sell promo part. You're just some random who just came in. It's like, oh hey,
Yeah.
random person who's going to basically the virtual equivalent of giving a pamphlet to somebody. It's like, I'm going to trash this, you know.
I was gonna say I actually like when people do that now. It used to make like it still makes me mad. Like it still triggers me. But I like it now because I will like I'm not afraid of confrontation and I will just tear them apart and just be like and then ban them and just like no, don't do that. No one ever do that.
yeah, you don't want to. You can't bypass the relationship for networking or for anything, and you don't want to just jump into these situations where you're self-promoting and you're taking advantage of the person who's streaming and their platform and what they're doing in order to promote yourself. It does require the time of just like actually developing a relationship. You want to, and you want to network with people that you would, if you became friends, it would naturally be like, oh, we should start a band together, or we should play. Let's go play these games together. Like you need to have that energy already. If you bypass that and just try to force everything into like a, hey, you have 40 viewers. We should play Rocket League together. It's like based on what? Based on what information? Real quick, I want to acknowledge that Eat Your Meats joined. How's it going?
Hey.
Yeah. Did you have something you
So
wanted to
I was working and I wanted to listen, so I figured I'd just hop on and
that's
listen
fine.
and interject as appropriate.
Yeah.
Yes, so my thoughts on this too is you earn that shout out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there is a level of incestuousness to some degree, for sure. That's true of a lot of these types of fields, but I was a community member and an avid listener and all of that stuff way prior to streaming, and I definitely found it helpful. But I think you don't go in there hoping for the shout out, but if you are a streamer, you probably say hi at least when you come into streams. And if you're close with that person, they will likely shout you out and say something about your stream, and that means you have a good relationship, and that's the kind of relationship you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you do the same if they come into your stream.
Based on like respect, and like
It's a
like a level of
mutual respect.
friendship and respect. You can't bypass this step and just be like, we all deserve to like be big, and I want to be big, so I'm just gonna be like, hey, your stream is so good, I'm gonna go stream right now too, and then expect that to work. Like no one in that chat is gonna be happy with you or go see your stream like because you did that.
My favorite thing is just like, oh, you're a streamer too on Twitch? I'm also a streamer. What a coincidence. We ran into each other here on Twitch.
See you here.
I too like food and drinking water.
Yeah. You breathe air as well?
Oh,
Wow.
Anyone
man,
else?
we have
Video
so much in
games?
common. Oh man, I can't believe how much in common we actually have.
I can't believe you
actually-
like money too.
I'm really mad for like never shouting people out just because like I forget. I get in my thing. I'm pretty sure I didn't shout anyone out yesterday, and I felt bad about it after stream.
Oh man.
I was like, all those people were there that I like.
Some people take it too far though, man. And I've gotten to
Yeah.
the point. There's no way to say this without it coming off like a humble brag. So I'm just gonna say it. But I'm at the point now where certain people I won't talk in their chat because I know they're gonna shout me out, and it's gonna be like, no, stop.
I
Like,
don't
just
want it. Yeah,
carry
a lot
on.
of the times you don't want it. You just want to be there and hang out. You don't need
yeah.
you don't need the promotion.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need. I'm sorry for this flashing game. This one
I don't
arcade
think,
game.
It's
giving
I don't
everybody
think
a
it's even
seizure.
about. Someone mentioned, I think it might have even been on the IQ podcast, because I was talking about to someone at some point about how like shoutouts, raids, things like that, they have like a very minor effect on your stream and your growth.
Yeah.
But it's very like the conversion rate, like if you're looking at it from a marketing perspective, the conversion rate is so abysmally low, it might not as well happen.
Yeah.
So someone mentioned that it's really more just like a high five between streamers. It's just like a respect thing, and it's not actually about the promotion.
The thing that actually helps is to create something together, right? So the moment I'd have partnered streamers come and raid me with like hundreds of viewers. Sure, maybe a handful of people would follow or whatever, but they never hung out and stuck around. But what did happen is I would go onto their stream and I would make content with them, either playing games or playing co-op games with them. That's when I would start to connect with their community through their stream. And that is then where those people would come and become part of my community, join my Discord, join my streams. It was because I created something with them. We created content together. That's where you want to land. The shout out thing is it's like I said this before, it's like a politeness thing. And it's a good way to react to a raid. You don't need to shout out every streamer that comes and stops by. You can just be like, "Oh, yo, I love your stream." That's enough. Like that's enough of a shout out to say, "Hey, your stream's great." That can be the shout out. You don't have to go through the process of being like, "Oh, I gotta hold on, I gotta alt tab out of the game and." Okay, exclamation point, shout. Oh, I typed it wrong. 1 second. I want to shout you out. It's just like, you don't need to go through the whole process. And you don't be like, hey, can I get mods? Mods, can I get you to shout out? Like, these are actually like kind of like
personally attacked right now.
Okay, that makes me feel like a real streamer to say, hey, mods, can we get this person to shout out?
Demanding that the mods
Mods,
do it
mods.
make me feel powerful.
Mods,
Exactly.
can you do me a favor and shout
I
out?
forget how to do it, so.
Yeah. Like, okay.
Mods are good mods. They don't need you to tell them.
You don't, yeah.
That's
yeah.
true.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that is something consistently. So I've kind of figured out some of my regulars that stream like fairly frequently, and the ones that don't as frequently. You get a feel for who likes to get shouted out. Shouted out. Over time. But yeah, absolutely. When it's like new people, it's a little bit harder to figure out, or if you're forging a new relationship.
And that's kind of the problem is you end up treating too many people the same way. Like really people that maybe you want to be like, oh, dude, everybody needs to check the streamer out. They're so great. And then the person who like rated you with 5 viewers that you've never met, and you're like, hey, can I get a shout out for this person? It's like you're treating them the same way almost. And it's just kind of like there's I don't know. I think there's a better way. I think there's a better way to execute all of this. And like, really the shout out thing, it doesn't need to interrupt your stream, and you don't need to make a big deal out of it. If you can do it subtly, if you can type it and not interrupt what you're doing, then great. If you can't, then it's fine. Just be as polite as possible on stream and tell people, you can be like, hey, I've never seen your stream. I'll come check it out when I get a chance. That's enough.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think the best shoutouts are the more like organic, genuine. It's the same as like trying to do a good call to action, like on like a YouTube video or anything, where you want to be like, hey, go like and subscribe, hit that bell, but you don't want it to sound fake.
Yeah.
And so like a good shoutout is the same way, which you can do by being like, hey, how have your streams been going? Oh, I noticed you were playing this on stream the other day. And those work so much better than going, hey, shout them out.
I love telling stories about like what people are up to. It makes you get engaged in the community, and I try to anytime that I know what they've been doing.
That's the relationship aspect of what we're talking about that's important, and it needs to be there.
Especially if like a funny thing happened in their stream, you can share. That's just an extra story for your stream, even.
Yeah, true.
I've found out people who I'm sure have only like they've probably fell into my stream raid-wise, but don't even know that I've done that just because of a conversation. Because the other night I basically was just kind of talking about whatever and got on the topic of somehow I eventually brought up Matt Good, and I was just like, nah, I'm just gonna shout him out. Screw it. And I just took a second to just shout him out, and I'm like, he's a good dude. Just I don't know. There you go.
Well, it's interesting that you said that because I was just thinking of a way to butt into this conversation. But you just gave me a good one because Kuma's shoutout command is actually a perfect a perfect like sarcastic example of what we're talking about here. His command says something like, "Hey, go check out this guy. They're probably great or something. I don't know." Like, no, that's actually what it says. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter what your shout out text, like your command. I'm going to call out a lot of people here. It doesn't matter what your shout out text actually says. That what Kuma says, that's what it actually says. Because apart from some specific interaction event or something you say, apart from the fanfare that accompanies the shout out, Doc said shoutouts are basically worthless. No, they're not. But shoutouts themselves, by themselves, void of any other accompanying, measure, are useless.
Yeah.
Just typing a shoutout command, that's not gonna. No one's gonna click on it. Which is, I think, why, like Sonny said, it's a courtesy thing, right? Someone raids you, shout them out, right? Even if you don't know them.
Yeah, it's a politeness thing. Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Wait, you don't know this person? How can you recommend them? Like, you've never seen their stream before. Like, what if you're recommending a neo-Nazi? How do you know?
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't know this person, right? And so like that, I almost feel like you got to take one of two approaches. Approach number one is just stop doing it. Like get rid of this this knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
That as soon as event happens, I must do thing. Like you don't have to shout at everyone that raids your stream. Like you don't.
True.
You really don't have to do that.
I have raids.
No one's gonna say anything if you don't.
I have raids off on this channel. You can turn raids off.
True, but what I'm saying, well, you can also make it only people you follow that can raid you. That's a thing you can do as well.
Oh, that's neat.
So, well, a lot of people were utilizing that tool during this whole, hate raid debacle or whatever. But anyway, that's a whole other topic. But what I'm trying to say is, if you're going, okay, so every call to action, right? Has to have an accompanying reason. Otherwise, it's not going to be effective. So a shout out is no different. If you are going to say, hey, you should follow this person on Twitch, the natural response is, why? Why should I follow this person on Twitch? Because they rated you? That's not a very good reason. No, give them a reason. Tell them why. If you like the stuff they're doing on their stream, tell them that you like the stuff they're doing on the stream. Talk about a cool thing they did one time that you thought it was particularly impressive. Talk about what makes them unique. Give people a reason to follow somebody else that they don't know, that they've never seen. Give them a reason to go through all that effort of clicking their name in the profile and then clicking one more time to follow them.
Also, you're like leading people away from your channel. Like, the moment you drop those links, you're like, "Hey, stop watching my stream and just go over there and click follow over there." And
I do that. I do that sometimes. I'm just I'm gonna raid this person. Please don't watch them instead of me.
The thing with the raid though, or with doing it as a raid response, the reason people, the reason it's become so normal is because streamers are inherently selfish, right? Of course, we want.
We're all a little narcissistic.
Right?
I mean, you have to be.
But
I'm definitely narcissistic.
If there's any time, if there's any time I don't mind sending someone to someone else's channel, it's when I know they've just ended their stream. Right? So I know I'm not going to lose those viewers because guess what? If they click on that, guess what they're going to see? They're going to see me because they're hosting me right now. So you're not actually losing anything by having them click on. They're going to see you pop up and they're going to mute it and then they're going to close the tab and go back.
That is true. That is true. Yeah. Except for when that doesn't happen because the person rated you but then immediately hosted someone else.
The only time I could, the only time I could see that fear being realized is if you randomly think of, like, say, Kuma's example of thinking of, he was just thinking of Matt Good, right? And he just happened to shout out Matt Good, and it's like, what if somebody clicks on that and now they're watching Matt Good, right? If Matt Good's live, it's like, oh yeah, hey, this guy is good. Wow, okay, close Kuma's stream, goodbye. But I mean, that's just like, if in my opinion, if you're worried about that, you might be
They were
too
gonna leave anyways,
you-
honestly.
Yeah,
well,
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I was trying to avoid saying this. If you're worried about that, you might be too insecure for Twitch.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You probably shouldn't.
There's
be
a lot of
streaming.
people who are too insecure for Twitch and
Is
a
it-
stream
it-
anyway.
If you're
Twitch and abandonment issues are
cattle.
not really good together.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess I gotta say it right now that I've.
No, you did. You opened the worms. Let's go.
All right. Well, I kind of have the same opinion of being worried about people shouting out their own channel in your Twitch chat. I think berating somebody for doing that is a sign of insecurity.
I usually just use it as a moment
just
to teaching moment to
Use
be
it as a
like,
I was
teachable
gonna say, yeah.
moment.
if you do that in someone's chat, they're gonna be really unhappy. Like, you're not in trouble here, but this is not kosher.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not coming. I'm not coming at Redbeard because you're the one that said that you would do this, right? But I will say I'm not coming at you. I'm just saying that. I'm not saying you're insecure. I'm saying that action projects insecurity, and that's not something you want to project while you're streaming, right? You want to
For
project
sure.
confidence at all times.
And I
So-
think mine comes from a different spot because I think like comedy comes from conflict, and they just
Okay,
gave me
sure.
a conflict that I can riff on for a little
Yeah,
bit, and then I try to teach them also, like because
If
like
you're doing
a
it in a
lot.
funny way, yeah, that's something. And I do that
Yeah,
with I do that with
content.
trolls. I do that with
Exactly.
trolls. I turn trolls into a. I do a hybrid approach of teachable moment and comedy. What I do if someone comes in and starts typing dumb shit in my chat, oh sorry, I used the S word.
No,
and
that's fine. It's fine.
You said
It's PG-13. That's fine.
You get like a couple of those. I think you
Yeah,
get like four
one
of those.
F-bomb and
You get
like
one F-bomb. Yeah. So anyway, if people come in and start saying dumb stuff or like obvious troll stuff, I'll basically tell them, hey, you got to be funny or I'm gonna kick you out. Like, when are you gonna do something entertaining? Like,
Yeah.
it's the meme of the guy poking something with a stick, saying, "Come on, do something," right? Do better, right?
Yeah.
Or if someone tries to get me with like a D's nuts joke or something, right? And it's a really bad one, I'll be like, "Nah, try again. Come on, you're gonna get it at one. You're gonna get me with something. You got to work for it, right?" So you can turn it into a fun moment. And I
There
know
was
some
that
people.
one guy that did actually win you over finally.
Yeah,
doing
that
My
guy
point-
was funny.
That-
Well,
there's
see,
g-
and Kuma, you remember that. You know why you remember
Yeah.
that? Because it was funny, and it
Yeah.
was like a good moment, right? And that moment wouldn't have happened if I would have just banned him.
Well, there's good and bad advice here because I did this when I first started streaming on Twitch. Every viewer was so important to me. Everybody who said anything in chat. So I made it my goal to convert trolls to viewers.
You know, that's different.
And so I valued everybody too much. I was just like, I'm gonna take anybody who comes in, and I'm gonna get them. And this worked for a while, but then I ended up with this community that was all these people that were like
Trolls.
so
Yeah.
toxic and argumentative and debatable. I'm sorry if you're here and you're watching. You know, many of them have stuck around actually, and they're still in my Discord. And it's
Yeah.
like this. I have mixed feelings. Oh man, we could talk about viewers a lot because.
Well, my point is, I'm not trying to make them not a shitlord. I'm trying to make them a better shitlord, so they can go somewhere else and do it to somebody else and actually create something funny or create something funny on my stream. The second it becomes apparent to me that they're not going to do that, I just kick them out. So you give them a chance, or maybe two,
Yeah.
or maybe three, and then
Ugh.
okay, goodbye.
Yeah, and
So-
my problem is I get too attached to people because I was really lonely when I first started streaming. So I would be like, these people are my friends, and then when you have to ban them, you feel terrible about it. It's just,
Well, but on the topic of the self promo and chat thing, it's like I would rather tell somebody, hey, that doesn't work, right? Like no one's gonna click on your stream right now after you just did that. And,
Yeah.
and because the goal there is twofold. One, hopefully they won't do it if they come back to your channel. That's one option. Option two is they get offended and they never come back. which is still solving a problem. And that because then they won't do it in your chat anymore. And then number 3 is if they get the message, they won't do it in other people's chats too. So you're solving multiple problems with one action instead of just banning them or just yelling at them, right?
Yeah.
If you
Or,
just
like-
if you calmly explain to them, hey, what you're doing right now is not effective, right? And if you don't want to start a conversation on that, then yeah, sure, kick them out or just be like, hey, please don't do that, whatever.
Or the one thing that's really annoying is when this annoying habit, I see people do this, that of course are somehow, basically a surprise Pikachu face when they somehow get more trolls, is the people who like knee-jerk reaction, like ban and like try to shut down anyone who's doing anything trolly, and then they kind of just sit there and huff a bit, and then they spend like the next 15 minutes talking vaguely about how Twitch is and trolls or whatever, and it's like you're opening up, like you're saying this stuff, and all you're gonna do is kind of get him to get his troll friends to show up and bug you more, because you're sitting there going, man, I just don't get it when like people do this dumb crap. And I mean, I know it's annoying, but at the same time, it's like when they like their only reaction is they try to just quietly ignore them and just like ban or whatever, or say mod ban this person, and then they're like, man, trolls. And then of course chat starts talking about that, and then they spend like 20 minutes on that, and then they
yeah.
think that they actually won something, and
You
then
have fed them.
they get people to come in or like, this is some good eating.
Yeah, I was the king of feeding trolls as well. It's very easy to just like let negative things impact you, and then it just takes over the entire stream gets taken over by this like thing that should just be moved past. That's a skill. All streamers need to learn how to like
For me, I missed
roll
a rec
with it.
where I at one point had a troll that was trying to talk about some big topics that you're gonna try and dodge big important topics, because I think he came in saying something about like Joe Biden or some crap. So I then just derailed everything and said, what's a real topic to talk about? And I went on a 30-minute rant about how much I hate people who keep saying Waluigi should be in Smash as a fighter. Completely derailed it. Like he just got bored and left because I was just going off on something completely unrelated.
I gotta make a stream marker so I can censor chat for YouTube. Thanks, Fectus.
My temptation to just let out a
I gotta
string
get rid of
cuss
your
words is
mod
so
sword.
high.
No, I have to. Do you see the little censor thing going up the screen now? Everybody spam chat with emotes to get rid of this, please. As fast as possible.
Oh, I forgot the chat was on your screen.
On the
sorry.
screen and you're a mod, so you get.
Sorry, it's an involuntary reaction from hearing the words Star Wars.
All right. Yeah, actually, this is kind of the next podcast next Wednesday. We're going to be talking about some of this stuff, right? Isn't that what we planned? Why am I already forgetting?
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about Twitch chat and trolls and real life friends and clingy people and all that wonderful stuff that we get to manage.
So this is like the pre-podcast episode.
The warm up.
Yeah, it's a warm up. Yeah. So yeah, and I encourage everybody, if you want to, we rebooted and recorded the podcast last Wednesday, and so it's available on the IQ site and on like Spotify and all those places, iTunes, Google Podcasts, all the podcast platforms, and the video versions on YouTube. So, and in our Twitch videos. So I gotta highlight that before it goes away. Man, yeah, this is a whole topic. Dealing with viewers and dealing with chat is, when I first came to Twitch, I didn't have a toolkit for it at all, and I don't know how to prepare new streamers. If there was advice you guys could give a new streamer to kind of help them figure this stuff out without having to learn it through experience, like what kind of advice would we give people? Because I don't have an actionable, like, a lot of this stuff I feel like you just have to learn because you're streaming.
Yes.
I was gonna say my advice is go do open mic comedy.
I was
Practice.
just about to say, like, some of the best comedy videos on
improv
YouTube.
class.
Some of the best comedy videos on YouTube are heckler response videos. And if you learn how to respond to, because trolls are basically the same thing.
Right.
If you learn how to respond to hecklers in a comedic way, they'll do that before they get them evacuated from the building, right? They do that before they kick them out.
I know I can give advice on like a part of it, which is what not to do, because I've been in a lot of streams where a troll will come in, and like you were saying earlier, don't let it become like a 20-minute charade of one person saying something you don't like. And like I've seen, like, man, some streamers that's really uncomfortable as a viewer to watch the streamer just kind of fall down a hill for 20 minutes about how bad and stupid this one person is for coming in their chat, and why would you do this? Why would you be that way? And they're just tired. It's just
Well, I mean, I think number one is have one hard line at least, right? So if someone says something about X, they are gone, right?
Sure.
I think that is really important. As a female streamer, there are very certain things that show up in my stream probably a little bit more frequently than some non-female presenting individuals that are like just auto ban, right? And then you have to kind of practice in the middle ground. Usually, I give a fair warning, a friendly fair warning, and then a quiet ban. And I don't know if that's the best way, but it matches my community. And you have to kind of figure out how you manage that fosters the community that you create too, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think that people can have a tendency when banning, so this is some actionable advice. I think people can have a tendency when banning people or timing them out. They have a tendency to focus so hard on that event that like they sort of let it like fuck up. They sort of let it. There was the one F-bomb. They sort of make it.
That's right.
They
You
sort-
support
they
on
sort of make
Patreon,
it-
so you get to do all the ones you want, I guess.
True.
That's a Patreon reward.
They sort of let it mess up their mental, and you can tell like that they're off their game, right? And so one way people exacerbate this is they keep talking about it. So I would say that a good rule of thumb, especially if you're not well versed in dealing with people that make you angry, and how to get over it quickly, the best thing you can possibly do is as soon as you ban somebody, as soon as you kick someone out, stop talking about them. Don't say anything else. Just act like it didn't happen. And just
Don't
continue
dwell
on.
it.
Because anyone watching the VOD, they're not even going to know it happened, right? Because the messages are deleted. So there's no evidence of this ever occurring. So, yeah, I would just say just put it out of your mind, sort of. Focus on what you're doing. Like, redirect your energy. Don't go on a 20-minute tirade about how, okay, so if someone's backseating and you get really mad and you time them out or you kick them out, like, if you time them out and you're giving them a warning, right? Backseating is a great example because it's super common, right? So you give yourself a set amount of time or set number of sentences that you're allowing yourself to tell the person. And once that's passed, stop. Don't go on a tirade about how much you hate backseating. Nobody wants to listen to that.
Mhm.
Everybody knows that you hate. Everyone knows that everyone hates backseating, right? Except people that break the rule. And the reason they break the rule is because they're completely socially inept and they have no idea. Most of the time, I think they have no idea what they're doing. There's there's like 3 reasons people backseat, and that's the probably the main one is that they have no idea that they're actually doing anything bad. So like if, for something like that, yeah, just
A lot of
Put
times
it-
they're trying to be
put it
helpful.
in history. Well, yeah, no one likes watching people struggle except Dark Souls viewers. Okay, so no normal people like watching people.
People
struggle.
who expect the
sad.
struggle are okay with it.
I was gonna say, I
Correct.
build my stream around the struggle.
Well,
Yep.
if that's a thing for you, then sure. But the thing is, they want that, but they want it even then though. That's not entirely
They
true.
want a certain kind of struggle, not
Yes.
literally struggling the game actually throwing them down a hill and them being like
They-
just
they
hitting
want
rocks on the
you-
way down. Like they want to see you literally like bleed, like bloody, just trying to punch at what you're fighting.
They want you getting
that
frustrated.
actually reminds me of a military kind of process that you may or may not have heard of called an OODA loop. OODA. You ever heard of this before?
Tell us.
I get to teach you. It's observe, orient, decide, and act. And they use it a lot in self-defense. So that's why the punching actually reminded me of the OODA loop. So basically, you can try to break someone's rhythm, if you will. So there's a certain rhythm to their they do something, right? They observe the situation, they orient to it, they decide what to do, and they act. Now, if you basically break them as they're orienting, essentially, you can really mess stuff up.
Discombobulate? Is that what you're trying to say?
Huh?
Discombobulate?
Yeah, exactly. So then that's the Waluigi thing, right? So that's basically breaking someone's OODA loop because they have an expected thing that they're going to observe after something happens, right?
Breaking the OODA loop is the name of my Ween cover band, by the way.
I love that.
So, yeah. That's what you want to do, right? You want to break the cycle. And like Kuma said this. He said, they want a certain type of struggle, right? Or they want they want a certain type of struggle. They don't want they want you to get upset, or they want you to get annoyed, but they don't want you to get mad, like actually mad.
Yeah.
A rule of thumb for anyone that has kids, or anyone that knows anyone that has kids, if you look at the way you're behaving on stream, if you looked at it from an outside perspective, and you would, and if your kid was doing that, and you would take the controller away,
Yeah.
you're probably alienating your viewers, and you're doing more harm than not. And if you can't get that under control, you should probably stop your stream and go raid somebody, because
Don't play games that make you like that.
Well, and that's another thing. This is
the balancing thing, because like a lot of streamers will be like, I want to play Call of Duty, or I want to play Apex Legends. Even if you're a god at it, like if it makes you rage after an hour, it's not a good idea. You're going to take that out on the viewers.
Competitive games are almost a different beast, because it's interesting. Well, I've come to the conclusion that you cannot correctly stream a competitive game. And the only
pros
way to
do it just fine, but they're like
but they're
somehow,
not talking to, they're not interacting with chat at all. It's a completely different vibe.
It's true.
They're creating a different product.
They're not even by most people's understanding of the term streaming, by the colloquial definition of the word streaming, they're not streaming.
Yeah.
They're just playing games. They're broadcasting a show.
Live gameplay.
It's a live let's play. And the interesting thing you'll notice is that without that feedback from the streamer, chat, just like people in chat, they talk to each other. And the community becomes about their shared experience around the player, as opposed to their back and forth interaction. There's some benefits to this. You end up with a lot less parasocial relationships, that's for sure. The only people that like develop an attachment to those people are like actually crazy people, which it's people with actual like issues with attachment and stuff like that, or
there's actually a lot of those people out there, though.
Correct.
And they have the internet.
And
they're hard. People
they can go do
that with XQC.
What I mean by that, and this is not medical advice. I always like to say that. So before I say anything, but honestly, though, people have these ideas of what someone with significant mental illness is like, and that's not really that accurate, right? So you trying to be a little empathetic is important, because they could be in a weird place, right? So
I was making an observation about the sort of person that would form a parasocial relationship with virtually zero reciprocity. No, I'm not making any sort of diagnosis.
I figured. I'm sorry. I always have to jump in for that kind of stuff, and it's a requirement for myself, and I apologize, but I needed to.
No, I get it. It keeps the balance.
Yeah, having relationships with chat. It's like I said, I don't think there's like great easy advice for new streamers. It's just like a learning process. Yeah. And it's easier to tell people what to try to avoid and not do. Like don't go off on 20-minute tangents about one person.
Chat's like an organic thing that like it's just whoever does decide to regularly show up for a while, and it kind of becomes whatever it becomes. And that's why it's hard to really give general advice, because like depending on game, how you stream, your energy, the way you talk, or even interact with chat kind of just molds it that way, and you know,
Yeah.
because I mean, like for me, the spot I have is the fact of so many people, and because of my time I stream, are so many lurkers, and I know too many of them are actually actively probably listening and not agree with a lot of the stuff I kind of go off about, but I don't have that like dialogue thing that other people do that are much more charismatic and have people who always go to their stream to have an ongoing talk where they don't care what the hell they're doing. They're just going to keep talking and having conversations and chit chat with anyone who comes in, just because they're really like hyper energy extrovert type.
I
So
think
it's kind of a weird case where it's like, how do you really handle either of these when on one end it's like sometimes chat can kind of come and go just based on maybe a conversation that comes up or in-game stuff, and then other people are just ongoing active chat because they are actively talking to like 5 people and maybe regularly arguing with their mod about the dumbest thing. So it's like always going because they're just this is how I am all the time, or I drink a lot of energy drinks.
I think one of the things that doesn't really get talked about enough is that people are empathetic creatures by nature, and the way the streamer feels is going to get passed on to the viewers, and so you kind of need to have a responsibility, or at least an awareness that the way you feel right now, you're dumping it on everybody. Don't try not to dump all the negative energy and especially for 20 minutes about like one bad thing that happened on the stream. But at the same time, this is where we get back into the topic of having like the fakeness on stream, where you're just trying to fake being happy. It's like this weird balance. You have to figure out how to actually get past this stuff and not force yourself to have some kind of persona of happiness. Otherwise, because that will bite you in the end, because you're just burying how you really feel about stuff. So
Just stuff it way deep inside.
I liked what Feckless said, because he's like, give yourself the moment, allow yourself X amount of sentences to react to the situation,
Yeah, I
get
do
it
that
out of
with
your
trolls,
system.
too.
Yeah.
I give them X line. I say you have 3 chat lines to be funny, and if you're not funny in 3 chat lines, you're gone. And most of the time, they'll either just keep doing what they're doing if they're not going to play if they're not going to play, which is my stream. I get to pick the rules, right, for the game. So if they're not going to play the game, I kick them out. It's like, sorry, you lose, right?
Yeah.
You weren't funny, so you were gone. So you weren't useful to me.
I also noticed that this goes back to something I constantly bring up, but like when I was always worse on stream and dealt with trolls worse when I was struggling in my own personal life I didn't take care of myself very well off stream. I didn't really care to take care of myself very well off stream, and I kind of used the stream as a place to feel better about myself, and then when it didn't, it was like really bad. So
it's not chat's job to make you feel good. It's
Yeah,
your job
yeah.
to make chat feel good.
yeah, you don't need chat. Chat needs you, and so I didn't. It's easier to not go off for 20 minutes and be upset about one person ruining your stream or being a troll or backseating or whatever it's going to be, if you come to stream kind of, feeling good about yourself already, not because of stream, but because of things that you're doing outside of stream. Maybe you're eating better, or you're walking, or, you're working on yourself to try and feel like a happy person, and you don't need stream to make you have these dopamine hits or whatever's going on, that you're trying to utilize stream to feel good. So, it's going to have a negative impact. Who you are off stream really does impact who you are on stream.
Are you familiar with seal.mp4?
I think so. Something comes to mind when you say that, but I don't know if I'm
It's a looping
not
video.
confident.
It's a looping video of a seal like turning in circles in the water with this really, really like happy sounding music, and it plays in a loop, and it's very long. So this is something. What I was gonna say is, you want to turn those moments where you're frustrated and you like need a minute to relax. Say a game's a game's making you mad, right? You want to not be made mad by the game, but you don't want to stop streaming, and you don't want to, you don't want to draw attention to the fact that you're upset. You can turn it into something funny. Here's a actionable example, something that I saw. I think it was Mizkiff used to do this all the time, and that's where I found the video. When he would get frustrated with something, he'd just pull up a browser on screen, and he would pull up seal.mp4, and he would just sit there and watch the video and calm down, and everyone in Twitch chat would spam "wide Peepo happy" or something like that. And you just do that. You cannot. I'm telling you, dude, you can't watch that video for a minute straight without feeling better. Like, it's not possible. And so you do that for a minute. You just find
your happy
something
place.
Zen. Yes, find something zen that you can just sort of like drop off and just like, okay, let's return to the mantra, right? And then you go back to Dark Souls and then you die to some BS like right away, and then you rage quit the stream.
Yeah.
That could be a very funny Dark Souls stream where just like every 5 seconds you die and then watch like 2 minutes of the Seal MP4 and then 5 seconds die and then the Seal MP4.
That'll start becoming like traumatizing though. Like you'll have nightmares of Seal.
Now you watch it and it just triggers you.
Yeah, exactly.
I've actually seen that happen, and so I'm remembering this stream now. I believe the game in question was Jump King, when it first came out. And so yeah, when he would get mad at Jump King, he would just like, and this actually happened. He got to the point where that video wasn't doing it for him anymore, and he had to like watch something else. So yeah, you find something that works, and if you can't find anything that works, maybe don't play that game.
Yeah. I think for me, I definitely I get the bad mad in competitive games. But I can definitely do like Dark Souls, Jump King, stuff like that, and just be funny mad the entire time. Like it never actually gets to me.
I think the trick is knowing the difference between bad mad and funny mad, right?
Yeah, like for sure.
We just call it salty meats where I'm from.
Well, I mean,
and we laugh about it.
You have to have the self-awareness to be able to recognize in the moment which one you're being, because if you don't, it can create a lot of awkward moments. I've seen this happen. I don't want to call anyone out, but I've seen this happen a lot of times with a lot of different people. And
it's happened to me. Absolutely.
Yeah, most of the time sorry. What I mean is, people will get into bad mad, and then they'll keep going, thinking that they're funny mad, but they're not funny mad, and they're actively ruining their stream, and they need to stop.
Yeah.
But they can't. They don't have that level of like detachment from themselves,
or they just have too much pride, or they're just
something.
They're like, I got this. I got to turn this around. It's like
right.
you can if you take a minute and watch Seal.mp4, like you're saying.
Sure, yeah. Like if you're in like, I guess it's like a delusional state, sort of like if you believe something that is just objectively untrue, which is that you're being entertaining, because that's not entertaining. Nobody likes watching I don't know. Maybe
what do you mean, streamers being delusional? You sure? That never happens.
Hey,
I've never seen a streamer think they're gonna get partnership with one viewer.
Some people want to see XQC slam the desk with his feet. Some people live for that moment, right?
I was gonna give the example of Tyler One is the best example I can think of watching someone like almost every stream go from funny mad to like I always called it psychopathic mad. Right, but it's like you're not like a person, you're just rage incarnate.
But that's the reason. That's the appeal of that streamer. So it's almost like
But people make the mistake of thinking that they can.
It's the exception. Not the rule.
The problem I see is that streamers will think, I can do that too.
Yes, everyone thinks they're the exception.
It's hard to be amusingly salty like that.
People
who do it really well, though. I can think of a couple people.
It works when you're successful already. It doesn't work if you're not successful.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is these people already have thousands of viewers. So when they get upset, it doesn't have that the same impact as when you're getting upset and you've got 2 viewers and that new person came in to check you out and you're just mad and they have no context.
On the meme, right? Because it kind of feels like a meme.
Yeah, at least like it's more well known that these bigger streamers, they must have some value. There's all these people
click-
watching.
You click into that stream knowing knowing probably what you're going to get. When you click in on a random stream of someone that you are not, you don't know them at all, that's going to be a different situation. So whatever you were thinking about that, say you come in with a blank slate, and the first thing you get is someone just letting out a string of cuss words and throwing controllers or breaking keyboards or something like that, or yelling at the viewers. God forbid, though probably the worst thing you can do. It's taking it out on your viewers. Like if that's your first impression. I mean,
context is king. It's like if this was transmuted or transplanted to like a physical situation where you had like 100 people standing outside and one dude was like raging, and people were laughing and smiling and like having a good time while the one dude was raging, you might immediately kind of get the gist that this is something that's entertaining and not just some dude raging. But if you have one dude raging and two people are watching and you're walking down the street, you're going to be like immediately really uncomfortable because there's no context for this being a good time.
yes.
I think actually there's like a social construct there, right? Because if it's like that crowd phenomenon, right? Like if you see like one person in distress and you're alone, you're much more likely to be like, hey, this is weird. Like, let me help you.
Yeah.
But if there's like 400 people and they're all just like ignoring it or reacting positively to it, you're like, oh, okay, it's socially acceptable for this.
Yeah. Yeah,
I was
exactly.
gonna
Idea.
say, as someone like I have anger issues that I should work on more, but I know I have that, and I know there's a thing that happened in my life. I think most people aren't aware of what they look like when they're angry. And I remember I had this realization that like as a kid getting mad, no one cared. As like a teenager, I was always like a scrawny kid that everyone could take in a fight no matter who they were. So like no one took me seriously when I got mad. And they always just kind of laughed at me when I got mad. So I never had a reason to fix that. And then suddenly I became a grown man, and it became scary when I was mad. And that was like a switch where it's like, oh, I can't do that anymore because I make people really uncomfortable when that happens. And I don't think people realize how uncomfortable they can make chat when they get that kind of anger.
Yeah, it's all about,
Well-
you got to remember, people are empathetic by nature, so the people who are watching are going to kind of latch onto the
Yeah, that
energy
too.
you're throwing out there.
Well, a lot of that's the thing is like when you look in the mirror and you see what you look like, maybe you'll like what you see, maybe you won't like what you see, right? I
Yeah.
think the problem is most people don't look in the mirror at all.
This is
most
why it's
people,
so important to watch your streams
yes,
back.
most people
they
don't
just
watch their
do
VODs,
streams,
and
then
that's a
just keep
huge.
That's a
pumping
huge piece
out
of advice we
VODs.
always give here. Go watch your own VODs and like give yourself some time too. Like
You think you don't have time to do it, but you do. Stop watching other streams and watch yours for one day.
and
That's
you don't
it.
even have
Make
to
it
watch
gotta
the
do.
whole stream. Just watch. You can jump through it and try
Like,
to get
you
a good
watch it at
video.
Watch
This was
it
your
at, watch
stream.
it
You
at
can still
2x.
kind of skim it.
Yeah, watch
Start-
it at 2x if you have something in
You,
mind.
you know what happened. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
you remember your stream. You know what happened. You can kind of
Well,
just skim through and
maybe.
be like, "This is the part
Yeah.
where I was on this for like 20 minutes."
Yeah.
Also, like-
Tangentially, I did that one time, and actually I was fighting a boss and didn't put the game screen back on, and I have a very weird gaming face, and has anyone struggled with this?
I've
Like
definitely
I make weird
noticed-
faces.
It's definitely a thing of like from doing open mic comedy and moving into streaming. There's like little ticks that you don't notice about yourself right away, and then when you watch yourself, you're like, oh, I do that. That's very weird. That thing I do. For me, when I started streaming, I would always like suck in my air through my mouth for some reason, and I watched back my stream and like, why every few seconds am I going?
Sucks. And subtitles come up saying "sucks teeth."
Yeah,
trying to be-
exactly. I'm like, that's
You're trying
terrible.
to be you're trying to be Macho Man Randy Savage in his promo.
Exactly.
That's- yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
like
man.
I remember one guy who did stand up and he would shake his right leg constantly. The entire time he was on stage, his right leg never stopped moving. And like everyone has these little tics when they're under like pressure like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things that you're not aware of them, but if you make yourself aware of them, there's two ways that it's gonna go. One is you're gonna recognize it when you're doing it, or you're gonna think about it, and you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I should change that, and then you make the change. The other is that you become hyper fixated on it,
Yeah.
and you get incredibly anxious,
Or
and that's usually what happens to me.
Yeah, or if it's something you can't change, like you sweat profusely, and
Uh-huh.
it does. There's no way to turn it off. That's my problem. I just sweat
I
like
was
a
just
crazy
gonna
person.
say that I feel like you're speaking from experience because
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember you would always see, but you know how to do comedy. You've done improv before, and like that like one of the best ways to y- yeah, to deal with like a flaw or something like that, something you perceive as negative, is to turn it into a positive, right? So you'll just be like, oh man, I'm sweating like crazy. Right? You'll just bring
Yeah,
it up. You
yeah.
just be like, yeah,
Yeah.
acknowledge the elephant in the room.
I
do the
mean,
same
I'm
thing
not
with,
the
like-
only one. There's plenty of other people that
Yeah.
they've got pit stains like crazy, and
Yeah,
just
yeah,
a
yeah.
Or
normal.
black, or tank tops like I do.
Yeah, you have to wear shirts that hide it. Yeah, that's the trick.
I get
Yeah.
sweaty for the most like out of nowhere reasons where I'm just like, wow.
I mean,
I'm
it's
kind of paying
probably
attention to streaming, and then I'm just like sweating. I'm like, why am I sweating?
the parasympathetic nervous system is just mine's overactive anyway. So I just start sweating. It happened when the first time it happened to me was I was taking like drum lessons. I was probably like 13 years old, and then I started doing the drum lessons, and my pits were just pure sweat, and I was like, this is weird and new, and it just never went away. Anytime I'm in a nervous situation, that's how it is. That's how my nerves play out. Even if I'm calm, even if my heart rate is like 86 like it is right now, it's like it's
Well,
not.
the best is when you combine the two, right? Because you already have a predisposition. You're predisposed towards sweating, and then when you get yourself in a situation where you should be sweating, it's even worse.
Oh yeah.
I'm just
Just
thinking about.
multiplies
I'm thinking about
tenfold.
I'm thinking about all of our live band.
Yeah, the
photos
concerts.
back in the day.
Every show. Yeah, I'm like,
Every picture
I needed
of
a-
you is just like dripping.
yeah,
It's great.
I needed a towel just to
Yeah.
play one song. I just start dancing and like we're playing these live shows, and it's already hot because we're talking about like 2000s, so there's no LED lights. All the lights are so
Oh my
hot,
God.
and
Yeah.
we're in California, so it's outside.
Most stage lights now are still in.
Yeah, they're still
Yeah.
really hot. So horrible. Yeah, so but yeah, just be self-aware as a streamer. That's good advice.
That's such an easier said than done thing.
It's
Oh my
so
gosh, no, I
it's-
do this weird thing with my mouth where I like purse and roll my lips when I'm really concentrating, but it's like I can't break concentration if I'm fighting a boss, you
Well,
know,
and
so
a
you
lot of
just kind of have to
people-
accept it.
People love that though. Like that's definitely a thing where people will be like, that's an endearing thing for sure. That's your focus face.
And
Yeah,
a lot of
I know.
people are so self-conscious that they don't want to take the time to do this. I've had a lot of talks with streamers they're obviously not happy with how they look on camera, and so they think,
Yeah.
I'm gonna VTube or something, and I'm like, are you doing that for the right reasons? Maybe you should go on a diet and exercise, and VTubing is not the right fix. Like security
Stop giving
blanket
people
your
life
insecurities.
improvement advice.
Like if you don't feel like you're going to have a good influence on yourself, why would you expect to have a good influence on others? And that's what this space is about, in a lot of ways. Especially,
Well-
go ahead.
On the topic of self-reflection being easier said than done, get other people to do it for you.
That is
it's
so
not
hard, though.
That's
It's not- well,
very
it's-
hard.
It's not as
You-
hard as you'd think.
you-
So
Feckless, I think you have like a group of people that are very close with you from like a long time. Because like I know you and like Sunny and Jared are like good friends from a long time ago. So you have people that can do that self-reflection for you. Not a lot of people have those long-term
Well,
relationships.
I've also tried with people, the people I had access to, and none of them had anything that was worthwhile to share with
Yeah.
me. It was just like, I don't know, it's good.
Yeah, like it's really hard to find people that will
I
like,
like
call
it.
you out on stuff. And like, because people
No,
are
no, no,
afraid
no, no.
you're going to dismiss them.
no, I'm not saying like tell people to call you out when they notice a behavior. I'm saying that if you notice something that you want to change about yourself, finding people to hold you accountable.
I
to-
see.
to changing
Oh,
those
okay,
things.
I'm sorry.
is-
I
is-
Yeah, I
understood.
didn't understand that either.
Well, so here's the thing, right? You can't just kickstart okay. How do I say this? If you're going to begin a process of self-improvement, you must first have some sort of self-awareness, right? And so if you're endeavoring to fix this problem in the first place, that means you recognize that there is a problem. So you at least have the amount of self-awareness that is required to identify the problem, right? So if you can identify the problem, you know people that are, maybe you got to know at least a few people that are somewhat observant, right? And if you go, hey, if you catch me doing this, can you bring it to my attention, please? Like it's really that simple.
I find that a lot of streamers that need this kind of activity are not going to be. They're not going to be proactive in doing it, though. Like, I think a lot.
Well, that's the problem.
Yeah, the problem is that they don't really want to be held accountable, and then a lot of people feel like
Yeah.
they don't need to change. And that's not true for anyone.
Right. Well, I'm not speaking to people. Part of being an IQ is being dedicated to self improvement. So
True.
I'm speaking to people who at least nominally have consented to a journey of improvement. And so I would think that I'm
You would
talking
hope,
to
yeah.
the right
Yeah.
people that are actually motivated. And
That's true.
If anyone doesn't want to solve their problems, then they came to the wrong place.
Yeah.
A streamer that doesn't have a willingness to learn and grow is not going to do either of those.
Not going to
things,
be a
right?
streamer.
They're not
for
going to
very
make
long.
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
I have to go do kid entertainment stuff, but it
Thank you
has
for
been
joining
so
us.
nice chilling for a little bit. You guys enjoy the rest of your night.
Yeah, we're going to be ending here soon anyway. I got to do the dinner thing, so I usually try to end around 4. And it's 4:20, so.
Oh, okay. My
Um,
dinner just got here.
Anyway, that's probably a good place for us to wrap this up. This is just a time for us to come together and get these discussions going, and kind of like the Discord itself. It's just another place for us to get out there and hopefully get some exposure. So Feckless, you are talking to IQ members, but in some level, these videos are a way to help people discover us too through YouTube and social media platforms. So hopefully somebody who's watching this on YouTube gets some value out of it. If you guys are interested in joining IQ, go to infinitequality.live. All you have to be is a Twitch affiliate. Fill out the application. We do have a review process, and if we think you're a good fit, then we'll see you in the Discord. Everybody, thank you so much for joining. Redbeard, I hope you got some value out of our discussion on your stream.
Oh, I definitely did. I have a to-do list now. That's what I wanted.
If anybody wants a channel review, actually next week I'm going to be doing a channel review of somebody who's not going to be here. So you don't have to actually be on the in the chat and like be a part of the channel review. You can just ask me to review your channel, and I will give you feedback that you can then watch the VOD and figure out where you might want to improve based on my advice. So yeah, message me in Discord if you're an IQ and you would like a channel review. Not through chat right now. I'm not gonna remember. You just gotta message me, and then we'll try to schedule it. I try to do one every week before we do the group discussion. So there's that. We have the IQ podcast is back on Wednesdays. And we've got some extended stuff that I could tell you guys about. Feckless has a podcast on Fridays, so you guys could go check out his stream when he's doing a podcast. You doing one today, Feckless?
We're on hiatus right now.
Okay, so he's on hiatus, but if in the future you should just still go follow his channel and check him out. And Kuma, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you guys. Everybody else, have a good weekend. Sunday is going to be our first art stream. So community artists that we will be live on this channel producing graphics for the IQ community to download off the website. Just have to, you guys can come and hang out and give us some feedback while we're live making the art. If you like one of what the artist is doing and you want some personal graphics for your stream, then this is a good chance to find an artist to help upgrade your channel branding. And I think that's it. That's the business. That was the Friday show. Thank you guys. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. And you guys who are in Twitch chat, I appreciate you. You guys don't forget to follow and go check out the YouTube channel. Everybody have a good weekend, and I'll see you guys on Sunday. Bye.
Bye, chat.
I
Bye, everyone.